Yo, yo, we back up in here, man. I don't know what happened with that stream. I know people said they couldn't hear me. It wasn't planned just right, but the GM Zach Kleiman has come out and said that they did explore trade opportunities. Trying to move John Morant around. It didn't work for whatever reason. I'm gonna wait till y'all get up in here. Type one when you come in. Type one if you can hear me in the chat. I know some people said they couldn't hear me. I want y'all to be able to hear me, man. And we're gonna talk about this. John Morant, superstar point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, has some injuries. Has some issues off the court. Couldn't couldn't find a trade partner for him. Couldn't find a trade partner for him. And I'm gonna show y'all exactly what was asked for in the
In
trade if I
terms
can
of the
find it. Let me see. Let me see. Show y'all what was asked for in the trade. Where did I put that? They only asked for Jaime Jaquez and a little bit more. Let me see. There it is. Got it right here on the screen now. This is what the Grizzlies asked for in a deal for John Morant. And they couldn't even get that. Terry Rozier, who obviously went through that whole gambling investigation with the league. Khalil Ware, who's in and out the lineup with the Grizzlies. Jaime Jaquez Jr. He's actually played well for them. At times this season, he's been a pretty good player, and they wanted a first round pick. And that seems to be the disconnect for a trade involving John Morant. When you start asking for picks, don't seem like nobody wanted to give up any picks. And so Zach Kleiman, I'm gonna wait till a few more people get in here, but I'm gonna play the video of the GM basically talking about why they explored trades for John Morant at this point and what his thinking was. He wants to go with a whole different youth movement. And it's crazy because Jaren Jackson, those guys were still really young. Jaren had his own problems on the backboards. I feel like he had too many games getting 3 and 4 boards. Great defender, and can help a team, but the fact that he couldn't rebound was always perplexing to me because he has the size. It's not like he's a weak player. It's not like he can't get inside position. A lot of times, shot blockers, like him, even if you're just blocking a shot or contesting a shot, having a quick second jump, getting tipping the ball to yourself, I could never understood. I'm sorry, I could never understand why he couldn't rebound. You know what I'm saying? He just couldn't. But yep, Ja, this is what the Heat wanted, man. I mean, this is what the Grizzlies wanted from the Heat, and Miami has zero interest. Nobody wants to give up any picks for Ja, and that's not going to be what the Grizzlies going to be able to ask for. I don't think. Even though they wait until the end of the season, I think teams don't want to take on none of that salary. Right? They don't want to take on none of it. Even though he's missed out on some incentive markers where it would have pushed his salary up, like making first team, second team All NBA, postseason games plays, those type of incentive markers that are well written in the NBA contracts. I just don't think no team want to take Ja on the deal that he's on right now. I don't. But yeah, I'm gonna wait for a few more people to get here. Zach Kleiman basically said that look, everything was on the table. Other than the young players that we have, everything was on the table. You think about that locker room a few years ago. They had Steven Adams in there. He was trying to tell Ja to calm down. They said he wasn't hearing that. Um, Dylan Brooks was made the scapegoat after the way they lost to the Lakers in the postseason. They had a bad draw with AD and LeBron in the postseason. That was after he said he's good in the West, and they were going home. Dylan was gone after that. But Dylan has helped some teams get better. He helped Houston start to turn it around, even though they ultimately went out and added KD. He helped them, get started on that path. He was a part of that, and now he's got Phoenix looking good again. So Dylan Brooks has proved to have a positive impact on teams, that need some toughness. And then so basically, you had, especially after the Bain trade, last two people standing was Jaron Jackson Jr. and John Morant. Jaron has some decent trade value, obviously, and they went out and they made a deal. Got Walter Clayton Jr., which I'm intrigued to see what he can do in the league. He was behind Keontae George, wasn't going to get a chance there because he was another young player who was ascending out there in Utah. But I think, here with Cam Spencer, he'll be able to eventually assume the point guard role. He seems to have that type of toughness that Memphis like, and who knows, Walter Clayton could end up, getting comfortable and being the point guard for that team. Pat Riley said, "Hell no." Nah, they didn't want to give him up. Nah, they ain't want to. Anytime you throw a pick in there, they Jaws past that point. But look, forget it. I ain't gonna hold on to it no more. We're gonna play what Zach Kleiman said, and I want to know your thoughts about this.
In terms of the decision to, I think, evaluate opportunities for all players on our team, which obviously we consummated a trade involving Jaron, and Job continues to be on this team going forward. We evaluated the opportunity. Trades take two teams. We evaluated the opportunities that were available to us at the deadline, and as we always have, we made the trades that we felt like were in the best interest of the organization going forward. The two trades that we did make at this deadline, we felt like they were in the best interest of the organization going forward. There were not other trades that were available at the deadline that we felt were in the best interest of the organization going forward.
With Ja, obviously, last year you said publicly, I'm not trading Ja. What changed, if anything, to get to the point where you would consider trade offers for him?
Yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly supportive of Ja for many years, and this is about organizational direction, though. This is not about Ja in particular. I understand, that Ja is Ja, and there's more attention, I guess, kind of paid to that, but all of this is grounded in organizational direction and building a team that we believe can achieve the highest levels of success in this league.
Now that's a guy who basically came out last year and said there's no way we're trading Ja Morant. After y'all hear him say that, what does that mean to y'all? What do y'all think that means? To me, that's basically saying there was no team that would give us anything noteworthy in return for Ja Morant. So they're gonna wait until the offseason. I don't think, like I said, any team wants to take on any parts of that contract. Um, the fact that everybody was traded and they got good return for every player they traded, and your superstar player you didn't get any return on him, that says a lot. That says a lot. And it's almost like a cautionary tale of how to tank your own value in the league as fast as he did. Perk said he could be out the league in 2 years, and Perk be saying different things, but you know what? This looks like one of those cases. The fact that nobody wanted a Ja Morant at this trade deadline, this was essentially the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade deadline. That's the only person people was looking at in that way. In Memphis, when they pivoted, obviously I mean not Memphis, but the Wizards, they got AD. That was the other piece that was out there that people were intrigued by. Even though he's injured, you're not going to get all that other stuff with AD. He only played 29 games for the Mavs, so that's a cause for concern. But, man, they said, Ja, this is the deal that I got right here on the screen. This is the deal. This is all the Grizzlies asked for. And the fact that couldn't get you Ja in 2026, if you would have said this back in 2022, 2023, nobody would believe you. They would have took this deal, for these same caliber players in a heartbeat. So that just tell you, that nothing is louder than the silence from the other teams on this deal. This is a case where the silence was loud. Ja's not gonna be, And I always thought it was interesting that he didn't want to go to Sacramento. He said no to the Kings, basically. Now the team wasn't gonna honor his wishes or do anything that he wanted, but at the same time, you got to look at it. The Kings probably hear that and say, "Oh, he don't want to be here. Then why would I make a move for him? Why would I move any piece? I can make a deal, or continue to be a bad team and draft my player if he don't want to be here." For y'all that missed it, this is what Zach Kleiman, the GM and the vice president of basketball operations for the Memphis Grizzlies, said about the trade deadline and John Morant.
In terms of the decision to, I think, evaluate opportunities for all players on our team, which obviously we consummated a trade involving Jaron, and Job continues to be on this team going forward. We evaluated the opportunity. Trades take two teams. We evaluated the opportunities that were available to us at the deadline, and as we always have, we made the trades that we felt like were in the best interest of the organization going forward. The two trades that we did make at this deadline, we felt like they were in the best interest of the organization going forward. There were not other trades that were available at the deadline that we felt were in the best interest of the organization going forward.
With Ja, obviously, last year you said publicly, I'm not trading Ja. What changed, if anything, to get to the point where you would consider trade offers for him?
Yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly supportive of Ja for many years, and this is about organizational direction, though. This is not about Ja in particular. I understand, that Ja is Ja, and there's more attention, I guess, kind of paid to that, but all of this is grounded in organizational direction and building a team that we believe can achieve the highest levels of success in this league.
Yeah. So that's what Zach Kleiman had to say, about John Morant and his future with the team. So what do you believe they do now? Do they even play him anymore this season? Right? Because there was a report just came out a few minutes ago said that they still want to trade him at the season's end. So they even let him play at all, or they just sit him out the rest of the season. I feel like it's the latter. They're gonna have to sit him out, make sure he's fully 100%, because you don't want anything on that physical that they have when they make these trades to come back negative, because then you're going to be stuck with them even longer, and you're going to have to ride this current contract all the way out. Issue with that is, John needs to hope for a trade where he can go somewhere, get a fresh start, show what he can do. Because honestly, if he rides that contract out with the Grizzlies and he gets limited playing time, then his value around the league, um, the way people see him as a superstar talent or even a star talent in the league, probably be gone by then. I know people want to see him and Ant Man together, but honestly, Ant Man needs a point guard who can shoot the basketball as well. He needs someone else who can keep the floor spread. Although Ant Man, big time 3-point shooter as well, he needs driving lanes. He needs to be able to get to the rim, because when he's got you on your heels, that's when he's at his best, when he's getting downhill. Also, when Ja's at his best, but he needs to learn how to consistently shoot the basketball, because that's going to prevent him from having the amount of injuries he has. And he's not going to be so reliant upon athleticism when he gets older. And I think that's the next step to his game. You wherever you land next, you need to be a much better shooter from the perimeter. Teams just don't see no interest. He got a negative value in the league, as far as trade. Wendy said it recently, and that's the truth. They checked with Sacramento, and basically he killed his own value, talking about he had no interest in going to Sacramento, which I don't think he read the room properly with that. Any team that's interested right now, you kind of got to take that. When nobody else wants you. The Heat don't really want you. They wanted you on a bargain. Um, Giannis and them, they kind of wanted them, but obviously there's gonna be they gonna pack the paint on that team. Them jokers gonna be standing in the lane like they used to do on Rajon Rondo, on your top two players. And so you're going to have a shrunken half court. It'll look good in transition, but if they were to play together, what are you going to do in the postseason when they shrink that court and they get back and make you play a half court game with those two guys on the court? You're going to struggle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You're going to struggle with those being your best players. So that's what Zach Kleiman said, man. What do you guys think about John Morant as far as going forward? What teams do you think will show him interest going forward? Because they say they still want to trade him this offseason. And they're wanting picks. It seems like you're not going to get any picks, so you may have to just get play. Maybe you'll get, I don't know, get a John needs to be available on the court, and he needs to be grateful for any team he gets traded to. Yeah, that's my thing, and that's why I couldn't understand John from BK that he didn't want to go to the Sacramento Kings. You know, he was open to playing with Giannis. He was open to going to Miami, which I don't think he really knows the way Pat Riley was going to challenge him and test him. Because you having issues with the European style coach they have, you're going to definitely have issues with Pat Riley. There's nobody, no started play with Pat Riley that you can think of that didn't have no issues with him. So Ja going down there, he was either going to have to just get in line or really crash out down there as far as and once you do that, you know, he would have been done if he went to Miami, in my opinion. I don't think he's ready for that type of military background, you know, or not even background, but that type of military style team. Everything you eat, everything, you know, they going to be on you. They're going to be on you. You ain't going to be able to do some of the things that you got away with in Memphis for the amount of time. I mean, this is a guy who got in trouble at a foot action or Foot Locker, whatever the store was in Memphis. Got into that issue with the kid at the high school. That issue in his backyard, pointing the red laser at the Indiana Pacers bus. Like all that shouldn't have happened. You might have should have had maybe one incident at best. Two, if if you just wilding, but the fact that I named those and those ain't the only thing that happened, it's more. Come on, man. This team stuck with you more than any team's gonna stick with you in the future if you do these type of things. So you don't need to be trying to be NBA young boy out here, man. You are an NBA player. You an NBA player. Be okay with being an NBA player. There's nothing wrong with not having to be, you know. I, I don't know what he was trying to prove with that, with that act. I mean, you're an NBA player, man. You went to college for basketball. So many people would love to sign an NBA max contract. There's no need. It ain't about switching up or not being who you are, but you ain't got to try to be a tough guy. You know that's the thing. It's cool to be a hooper. It's cool to be a hooper. But they just couldn't get anything back for him like they could for Jaren, like they could for Desmond Bain. The fact that Desmond Bain had more trade value than John Morant. What if somebody would have told you that back in 2023, that Desmond Bain by 2026 would have more trade value than John Morant? Would you have believed them if they would have said that back then? I'm gonna read some of these chats. I'm gonna play this video again for the people that didn't see it.
In terms of the decision to, I think, evaluate opportunities for all players on our team, which obviously we consummated a trade involving Jaren, and Job continues to be on this team going forward. We evaluated the opportunity. Trades take two teams. We evaluated the opportunities that were available to us at the deadline, and as we always have, we made the trades that we felt like were in the best interest of the organization going forward. The two trades that we did make at this deadline, we felt like they were in the best interest of the organization going forward. There were not other trades that were available at the deadline that we felt were in the best interest of the organization going forward.
with Ja, obviously last year you said publicly, I'm not trading Ja. What changed, if anything, to get to the point where you would consider trade offers for him?
Yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly supportive of Ja for many years, and this is about organizational direction, though. This is not about Ja in particular. I understand, that Ja is Ja, and there's more attention, I guess, kind of paid to that. But all of this is grounded in organizational direction, and building a team that we believe can achieve the highest levels of success in this league.
Mm. What y'all think when y'all hear Zach Kleiman say that? What y'all think? I want to know. Like he basically saying you ain't have no trade value without saying you ain't have no trade value. What's funny is the thing that Mike Dunleavy said about Jonathan Kaminga seems like it could be applied to John Morant, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's insane to see where his value has plummeted to. And I saw his dad put out that tweet the other day, basically a picture of Ja with his hands over his ears, like they blocking out all the noise. But nah, that's not why you still with the team. You wasn't traded because nobody wanted to give up anything of significant value to get you. And most teams would have wanted Ja just 2 or 3 years ago. Most teams would have wanted him on their team. So to rule out Sacramento and say, "Nah, I have no interest in going there," don't shoot your own, don't shoot your own foot off. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what I couldn't understand. Real Picky Mon said they were asking for way too much to get Ja. And nobody want to give up their first round picks. I think if you said Terry Rozier and maybe, I don't think they want to give up Khalil Ware either, which I think is something weird going on with him and Spo right now. Anyway, he's in and out the lineup. Every time I see Ware playing, he doing solid. Maybe he getting lost on D or whatever in games I'm not seeing. I don't watch the Heat as much as I watch some other teams, but the times I've seen him, he looked like a promising young player. I thought they'd be able to pair him and Bam together and form a formidable front line, but I don't know. Jaime Jaquez has been playing his best basketball. Uh, Maybe if he would have asked for this deal a year ago, they've been willing to trade Jaime. But Jaime is hooping this year. You know, he hooping for the Heat. He's the player that's kind of they started talking about making Tyler Hero a little more expendable because of the way that he was playing. Yeah, I see some more people coming in here. Yeah, so if y'all don't know what we're talking about, man, there's a video of the GM Zach Kleiman basically talking about John Morant and
In terms of the decision
his
to,
like
I think
the reason they did what they did at the trade deadline. There's this video going viral right now where he addressed the media talking about the youth movement, and it's wild because the players that they're trading is young. Usually, you hear about this when players get a little bit older, but I think some of the trouble Ja got in accelerated, that timeline for them, and the writing was on the wall when Bane was gone. Why send him to a fast city like Miami? That's true. There's the temptations right there that he would probably struggle with that. I agree with you. I agree with you, Anthony Jefferson. I thought about that. That would have been another tough one for him. Um, the nightlife and everything else can consume you if you ain't focused down there. But you think about that and the organization itself. I think he would have struggled with Pat Riley just as a person. Just the way Pat Riley is. You remember how Pat Riley called out Jimmy Butler when he was talking about if he was in the playoffs, what he would have done to Josh Hart, and he came right behind him and said, "Nobody don't need to be talking unless they playing. Why are you talking?" You remember he did that to Jimmy, and you see how Ja reacted to the coach in the locker room recently this year. You think he'd be able to handle that pressure that Pat Riley would put on him? Because it's not just about work ethic; it's about the mental. He's going. Pat Riley's going to push your mental. He's really going to challenge you. He's going to challenge you as he's going to challenge you, and you're going to sink or swim. And like you said, Anthony Jefferson in a city like that, he'll probably end up. I ain't want to say he'll fail, but a lot of people don't like playing for Miami. Not everybody's cut to play for Miami. I'll say it like that. Not everybody's cut for that. That's a nice way of saying it.
Evaluate opportunities for all players, on our team, which obviously we consummated, a trade involving Jaron and job continues to be on this team, going forward. We evaluated the opportunity, trades take two teams. We evaluated the opportunities that were available to us at the deadline, and as we always have, we made the trades that we felt like were in the best interest of the organization going forward. The two trades that we did make at this deadline, we felt like they were in the best interest of the organization going forward. There were not other trades that were available at the deadline that we felt were in the best interest of the organization going forward.
With Ja, obviously, last year you said publicly, I'm not trading Ja. What changed, if anything, to get to the point where you would consider trade offers for him?
Yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly supportive of Ja for many years, and this is about organizational direction, though. This is not about Ja in particular. I understand, that Ja is Ja, and there's more attention, I guess, kind of paid to that, but all of this is grounded in organizational direction and building a team that we believe can achieve the highest levels of success in this league.
All right, man. So look like everybody checking out of this stream. I want to talk to y'all about something else too. We got a big matchup coming up between Cameron Boozer and Caleb Wilson, two of the top power forwards in this upcoming draft. So I'm out, y'all. I'll be back. We're gonna chat about that soon.